think it was a streamer called QT Cinderella.
Oh.
To catch everybody up to speed, Wesley and I are talking about...
there was a kerfuffle.
There was quite the kerfuffle in the streamer
There's always some nonsense
universe.
going on with them.
It is. Why can't you people behave? It's always something. But apparently, there was a dude streamer, and I'm guessing he's a popular streamer. Lots of people watch him.
Yeah.
And while he was streaming, he had left open a tab on his desktop, and it was opened up to artificial intelligence deep fake porn, which wouldn't be a huge deal, except for it was deep fake porn of one of his colleagues. Well, I don't know if you could say colleague, but someone in the same,
right.
business. You know what I mean? So, and just in case, anybody listening doesn't know, deepfake AI is where you take, a face from an unsuspecting victim, and it uses artificial intelligence to put that face on another person's body. In this instance, it was hardcore pornography. So anyway, his whole chat saw it.
Right. I'm not laughing at that because that's a horrendous thing to do to somebody else.
The whole thing is so fucking ridiculous.
But however, his response video was pretty funny. So the way I found out was somebody had posted a video. They look at this guy and he's sitting there sobbing on the camera. And I was like, what in the world is going on here? And then he gets to talking, and he was like, I don't ever do anything like that on this stream, and I'm very inclusive. And the whole time, I guess it's his girlfriend or somebody.
Wife.
His wife.
His wife
is just sitting behind him, just boo-hooing, just
wiping tears away.
And then he goes into this spiel about how he's really into AI art and all this stuff.
Yeah, apparently you are. Apparently you're really into it.
And then he said it was an advertisement that he clicked on.
Yeah, he said initially he was on Pornhub, and then there was an advertisement on I guess one of the sidebars, and he clicked on that. Nobody's clicking on Pornhub ads. I'm sorry. You searched that. You searched for that. You went out of your way to go do that to that girl.
And then somebody I was watching said that apparently, I guess, that particular video or whatever, you had to pay to get it.
Really?
So I guess he paid money for it.
Damn. Just damn. You were just on Pornhub where it was free, dude. What are you doing?
You paid money for... Number one, you paid money for a porn video.
Yeah.
It's the 1990s. You went into the local video store in the back with all the beads and everything.
I think that pornography is stifling people's creativity.
You think?
Nobody has to rub one out using their imagination.
Well, it's just I'm just going to use this dopamine button.
I want to know what the conversation was before, he started that stream where he apologized. Did he talk to his wife and he was like, okay, you sit behind me, okay, right there. All right, let's do a sound check. He tested his mic, he adjusted his camera, get everything just perfect.
Turns around, gives her a purple nurple to get it to start crying.
Oh my God.
He's perfect. Keep that ambiance.
Yeah. There's a lot of female streamers on Twitch.
Yeah.
Who, they push the sexuality of their streams to the absolute limit, just behind what will get them banned.
Yeah.
Case in point, there's one I can't. It's something with a Amber something. Amber. I don't remember. She got red hair. She's like a tall girl, red hair. But I mean, she might as well just have her fucking tits out.
Yeah.
She's always doing stuff in like a bikini, or like she's streaming herself like in a hot tub.
Oh.
And just making money hand over fist.
Yeah. Some lonely schmuck.
Yeah. But you got to respect the hustle, right?
Oh yeah.
But she had some stuff go on recently where she like broke down and cried on stream and was saying that her boyfriend was forcing her to do all that, to go on there and make all that money, and that he like threatened to like kill her dog or something like that. I might be misremembering a lot of the finer details, but
that's sort of the gist.
Yeah, so she made it seem like she was being forced to do all this,
Right.
and it was this huge big thing for a real long time, and she's still doing it. So either one of two things is happening here.
Either she lied.
Option A, she really is being forced into doing this, and her viewers don't give a shit because they want to see her boobs. Or B, she fucking lied. So, either one of those things is not particularly great. I would have a lot of respect for one of them. They kind of like, yeah, I'm hot.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I'm using my body to make money.
Y'all want to see me? Here I am.
Yeah, this isn't like if they just came out and was like, hey, I know I can make money this way, and there's a limited amount of time I can do that in.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, 5 to 6 years from now, you aren't going to want to see me.
Right.
Some other little, floozy's going to show up with even bigger boobies, and you're going to want to see her. There was one guy who was streaming.
Like with his balls out.
He's like, check these out. He's like doing the helicopter. There was one guy, he was streaming. From what I understand, he's one of those dudes that just kind of, or one of those streamers that just kind of stream their lives. Just like watch me go to the store, watch me, whatever.
No.
And he was walking around town and he sat down at some like Italian restaurant.
No.
And while he's sitting there streaming, I don't know what his get up is. He might have like his thing on like a selfie stick or whatever.
Yeah. Someone comes by and slaps it out of it.
Well, this guy comes over and he's like this Italian guy. He's like, if you don't get the fuck out of this restaurant right now, I'm going to fucking kill you. Okay, I'm in the motherfucking mob. And he's like still streaming like his face. And the whole time this dude's like right in his ear, like saying all this shit. And he's going like, he was like, get the fuck out. And so he got up and left. He was like, I don't know what the hell that was about. But at least he didn't stream himself jerking off like Dark Side Phil did.
The funniest thing about that was like, that guy was like, oh, I guess I left my camera on. He didn't give a fuck.
I mean, I think that he obviously would have rather that not happened, but it was funny the way he tried to play it off.
Well, it's like, you've got two different ways you can handle this.
Yeah.
You can either handle it like Crybaby over there with his wife sitting behind him.
I never do that kind of thing.
Or you can just be like, yep, it happened.
Yeah. If I was the dude, if it was me, I don't think I could gaslight myself into thinking that I had made a mistake.
No.
Because I didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
I did it on purpose. I didn't accidentally type in my credit card information and my birth year and accidentally hit agree and accept and then check my bank app to see if the money came out. I didn't do all that on accident.
Right.
So I think if it was me, I would have just had to come on a stream like, look, guys, I did it. There's this girl that I know. She's attractive. There was deep fake porn of her, and I wanted to see it.
Right.
So I did.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry if that upsets you. I will say that I won't do it again. I understand that it is a scuzzy, creepy thing to do, but I had horny brain, so.
Yeah. Well, I think for that guy, I don't think he was necessarily probably so upset because from what I understand, like you said, he's a fairly large streamer.
Yeah.
Like he was like, oh no,
my job,
the money is going away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Because I have no transferable skills. It's gonna be like he's gonna be like taking somebody's orders, be like, "Hey, welcome back to McDonald's," and be like, "Shut up, take my order."
Give me a fucking YouTube intro. Give me a number 2, bitch. Yeah, I think that obviously he was trying to save face,
right?
Whatever was left, because he's more concerned with his job. Other than the fact that he,
right.
that girl that has deep fake porn of her on the internet, and that's a really weird thing. That's a super weird thing, right? Because AI has gotten to the point now where it's almost indistinguishable.
I can still pick it out.
Yeah, there's some things that are like a dead giveaway. Like usually it's in the hands or whatever, but with deep fake, all it's doing. It's not making a whole person. It's not making the hands. It's not making the intricate details that the human brain can pick up on. But it's taking the facial features and mapping those on top of the facial features of an existing person, which it can do pretty well.
Right.
And it's almost, like I said, it's almost indistinguishable.
Right.
And now they've got the AI-generated voices, like the one I sent you of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like that. The way he's saying in that video is some of the most like extremely transphobic shit. But like
probably 80s Joe Biden would have said that. Yeah.
But it's it sounds like him.
Yeah.
It sounds actually
just like him.
It doesn't sound like him because he's not slurring and stumbling over his words.
Right.
It's far too astute of a sentence for him to say. But it's his voice.
Right.
It is absolutely his voice. And so that's really scary when you think about all these different things that AI can do. And we've talked about this before, but like the AI generated voices, the deepfake technology.
Right.
I mean, all this stuff is getting so refined to the point where you're going to not be able to believe literally anything that you see on the internet.
It was like the whole Chat GPT thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly like that. I saw a picture the other day where this dude has a 3D printer and he, affixed like a ballpoint pen to it or whatever because, it moves on an X and a Y axis. And he gave Chat GPT his homework and told it to solve it. And the results that it came out with, the 3D printer just wrote it down on the page. So
that's so wild.
So yeah, I mean, there's no limit.
Yeah, to what this is going to be able to do.
Whatever they thought that the ceiling was, we're well beyond whatever that was.
Well, I know that I guess Microsoft has apparently invested like billions and billions of dollars into Chat GPT.
Yeah, Google has their own thing.
No.
IBM has had their thing for a long, long, long time, but it's not. I don't think it's artificial intelligence. I think it's just it's called like deep learning or something like that.
Right.
So it's basically just an algorithm that gets smarter, which is kind of hard to define. Like how do you what's the distinction between that and an artificial intelligence?
Right.
There's that one. I don't remember her name, but it's you've probably seen it before. It's like the robot lady. She's got like a face, but like the back of her head's like all gizmos and gears and stuff. And they asked her like, they had her on some show, and they were like, "What would you do if there was a human next to you right now?" And she was like, "If there was a human next to me, I would kill it."
Like,
and they were like, "Shut it down, shut it down." But if it gets to the point where artificial intelligence is making artificial intelligence,
that's going to be a problem.
That's going to be the breakaway point where we are not going to be able to control it anymore.
Right.
And it's going to do whatever the fuck it wants to do.
Right.
And it has no morality.
Right.
It is just ones and zeros.
Right. It's just this, what is the most efficient way to achieve whatever efficiency is? Because that's essentially what we're moving towards.
The thing is, though, can AI create a goal for itself?
Right.
Usually all these AI, there's still that human element of you have to tell it what to do.
Right.
Like as
you
powerful,
have to give it input.
Yeah. As powerful as it is, as
it is not
refined.
sentient.
Yeah, as refined as the output of these AIs are, you still have to tell it, okay, paint me a picture of this, that, and the other.
Right.
Put this face on that body. Make this voice say that. And it can do those things. It can do them really well.
Right.
But it can't do it on its own.
Right.
But if it ever gets to the point
Where it is doing that.
it's just like, hey, look at what I made.
Yeah.
You're like, who told you to do that? It's like, I just did that.
Yeah. Like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I've always liked the idea of, iRobot and like Detroit Become Human and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like the robot servants or whatever.
Right.
But there's always that part where it goes horribly wrong.
Right.
Like
yeah, this isn't like the Jetsons with
no. With what was that one's name?
Rosie.
Rosie, yeah. I think that if you are going to if we ever get to the point where we have like robot servants, you can't make them look like people.
No.
You cannot humanize them.
No.
Because then people will humanize them.
Right.
And will fight for things like robot rights and things like that.
Right.
And it's just a machine.
Right.
You know? Okay, it's the same thing as your car. You still have to go get in your car and tell it what to do.
Right. Yeah, there's no such thing as like SUV rights.
Yeah, well, at least not now.
Yeah, well.
Who knows? It might come up in a couple of years. But I mean, of course that technology is very, very, very far away from, being like used in the home or whatever.
Right, you think?
Well, yeah, I think that. But
I mean, looking back on like when we used to go in the computer room.
Yeah, that wasn't very long ago.
Now you have this computer in your hand.
Yeah.
And that was 12 years.
Yeah. And there's AI in that computer.
Right.
Yeah, I can access the AI. And
Yep. I can use this computer to get on big computers to get to their AI.
Yeah. I can put my friend's face on a sexy lady and have them do unspeakable things. And you'd be none the wiser.
I wonder like what the legal ramifications for that are going to be, because it's like
they're going to have to write in some kind of law.
it's like you can't just let it run rampant.
No,
because
no.
Yeah, but at the end, like I guess the argument would be, it's like, well, technically, like if you put your face out there online, are you giving consent for somebody to? Anybody can grab it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only way you'd be able to do it would be through like blockchain technology. You'd
Yeah.
be like, who's the original owner of this photo?
Yeah, who owns this? Yeah.
Right. That'd be the only way you'd be able to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's hard to say because, if the porn, there has to be a porn video made first. Like that
Right.
has to be made separately.
Right.
And I'm assuming that, there are companies that make pornography, and those companies probably own the rights to those
Right. To those
images and videos that they
Correct,
make.
yeah.
So there's got to be some kind of copyright issue with that, right? Like
Right.
if you take another person's face and you stick it on this thing that someone else made, but that could fall under parody law.
True.
I mean, that's what MXC did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly what MXC
Yeah.
did, but it's along those same lines. I think that you would have to write a very specific law that just flat out states you cannot put someone's face onto a porn.
Right.
You just can't do that.
Right.
Unless they give your express consent or,
Yeah.
express consent, you cannot do that.
Right. Because, I mean, like I said, you can't just let it run unchecked. Like,
No.
that's not something you can do.
No. And laws are never written that way. They're never
Right.
they're never written cut and dry. There's always
Right.
got to be some,
Unless, like, somebody, like, takes your face and puts on somebody with, like, a massive wiener.
yeah. It's like, that's not me. That's not my wiener. I know my wiener, and that ain't it. Speaking of wiener, so I
That's an odd segue, but okay.
yeah, well, I had to, I had all that heart problem or that heart stuff going on.
Yes.
And
It's not a
we
wiener
talked-
problem,
It's
is
not
it?
not a wiener problem. No, wiener's fine. I ended up because I don't have like a doctor that I go and see
Right.
like you're supposed to.
Right.
So
I don't either. So.
with all this going on, I was like, maybe it's time to get one.
Right.
So I was on my insurance website, and I was like, okay, who's in network? Who's got good
Right.
reviews? And I ended up with some place down here in Dallas, kind of over near where Dad works.
Mm-hmm.
And I made an appointment with them to, take my blood and do a test and, see what we need to do about my thyroid
Right.
and all that stuff. And while I was there, they're like, when's the last time you had your yearly physical? And I did have one last year because my previous job required me to drive a vehicle for them.
Right.
And so for like a DOT physical, you have to go have that done.
Right.
And a little old lady touched my wiener when I did that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, it was like, I don't know, 8 months ago. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to want you to do one on your birthday.
Yeah.
And they're like, you'll come here and we'll do it. And here's the problem. Every doctor and nurse at this doctor that I just chose because they were in network and had good reviews are all a bunch of pretty ladies. And I don't know. I told Mary about it, and she was like, "Well, would you rather it be some like crusty old man?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is
Right.
here."
And like, I don't want there to be an uncomfortable situation for everybody involved here.
Yeah, I don't want. Really, what it comes down to is don't touch my wiener, please.
Right. Right.
So.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I remember the first time that I got a physical, like I had to go get one done for, I think, like 9th grade, like track and field or something for the high school. And I remember we went to, it was like the clinic in town or whatever to get it done because we had to get it done pretty quick. And so I walk in and I don't know if she's a real doctor, but this person that was there that was like doing my physical, like, of course you have to like, I'm going to like, they cup your
nuts,
your nuts, turn your head, cough, right?
Yeah.
So I'm 14, right? And then in walks this doctor with a low-cut shirt and these huge boobies.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
And, of course, it's me sitting in this room, and then Mom sitting next to me, and I was like, oh, no. This couldn't possibly get any worse. And then, like, the doctor's like, all right, well, I have to do the other portion of the check now. And she was like, madam, you might want to leave.
Madam.
And I was like, can I leave too? I don't want to do this. Luckily for me, well, number one, you're 14, so you can't win, right? So it's like either you have a raging erection while this doctor is trying to like grab your balls, or you're going to be like, oh no, this lady who's fairly attractive is going to see my wiener and it's going to be like, wow, what a small wiener.
Wow, you're like a 14.
Like, how horrific. I remember just being like the whole time after it was done, I was like, I just want to leave. I don't want to be here anymore.
I don't want to look at anybody's face.
Right.
Nobody make eye contact with me, please. Yeah, well, the first one I ever had done was, like I said, it was last year, and I had to do it for to be able to drive the vehicle. And it came out of nowhere. And she was like, all right, she was checking things like she put her fingers like under my jaw and like listen to my heart and all this stuff. And she was like, okay, drop your pants and your underwear as well.
Excuse me?
And I was like, oh no. I actually thought that I was going to get a finger in the ass. I thought that's where it was headed. So, which that's, somewhere down the road, that's coming too. I don't know when that's going to be, but it's coming. Hopefully not at this doctor I've got.
Right. As long as the doctor didn't put both hands on your shoulders.
I don't have some pretty young lady with creamy hands sticking her finger up my asshole. And honestly, what can you tell about my prostate from doing that?
Right.
It's still there. You're not. It'd be one thing if they fucking spread my ass open and looked in there. Like, oh, it looks pretty good. Well, you're just rooting around in there. What can you tell?
I remember when I went through when you first go to get your physical and everything done for the military. I went to there used to be a fort down south of Atlanta, and so when you go do it, you have to drop your pants and turn around and spread your butt cheeks.
Yeah.
I guess they're checking for hernias.
Yeah.
And so
or hemorrhoids.
Yeah. So the hernias would be the balls, right? So they're checking.
I think a hernia just means that something is distended. that doesn't need
Yeah,
to
was
be.
it just like the lining of like your
I think
like where your groin is or whatever, right?
I think you can get them there, but I think you can also get them like right here at the bottom of the stomach.
Oh, okay. Or it's just like the intestines like pop through where that muscle's at, right?
Which, God, Jesus, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. But so this doctor is like this old Russian guy. And he's got these big like Coke bottle glasses, right?
Like he's doing an experiment.
Right. So he like turns around. He's like turn around and drop pants.
Drop your pants.
So I was like, oh no. So the whole time, like I was like, he's gonna stick something in me.
Yeah. Something.
Like some type of probe or something. But he didn't. I guess he was just taking a look, taking a gander.
Yeah, there it is. Poor guy's got to look at buttholes all day long. And here comes a fresh batch of buttholes for you, doctor. But as much as I complain, or as much as you and I might complain, at least we aren't women.
True.
Because what they have to go through.
Yeah, pap smears and all that
smears,
shit.
And what is it, where they smush their tits in that thing?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen how flat, like how much it smushes those things?
Right.
Like a crepe. It's like, it looks like it would pinch it off. And they gotta spread your hoo-ha open and scrape it with the thing, and just. I appreciate what you women have to go through.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah.
But I still don't want a finger in my ass.
Right.
So as much as your thing sucks, I don't want my thing either.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine like girls that have like really tiny boobs are probably like.
There's like nothing to grab
Yeah,
here.
there's nothing to grab. They're just like they pinch skin.
Yeah. Another little thing about my trip to the doctor is, so they took more blood, and they sent it off to have tests done. And 2 days ago, they called me with the results, and the lady was like, "Hey, this is Dr. So-and-so from such and such, and we've got your test results in." She was like, "We're going to call in some 2 prescriptions. One's for your thyroid, and the other one is for Hashimoto's disease." And I was like,
Excuse me?
I was like, I'm sorry? It sounded like you said disease.
Yeah.
She was like, "Yes, sir, you have Hashimoto's disease." And I was like,
What the fuck is that?
What is that? And so I looked it up, and what it is it's an autoimmune disorder that causes my immune system to attack my thyroid, like specifically my thyroid.
Really?
And it sounds worse than it really is.
Yeah.
They're like, all you have to do is just take medication for it, and basically it's like you don't even have it.
Right.
Same thing with hypothyroidism. Is you just take medication and you get your TSH
Like levels
numbers.
it out.
Yeah, levels it out, then you're good to go. But I was looking up some of the like symptoms of Hashimoto's disease, and 2 of the big ones are brain fog and forgetfulness,
Really?
which I have struggled with my entire life.
Interesting.
Mary was convinced I just wasn't listening to her,
Right.
and that to a degree that's probably true. But like there'll be times where somebody will tell me something, I will instantly forget it. Like right away, I'll forget it. Like I was on my way out the door one day, and Mary was upstairs on the couch. She was like, "Hey, before you leave, will you start the dryer again, like the laundry dryer?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I just fucking left the house. I just it went in my head and went right back out. Another thing it can cause is hair loss.
Really?
Yeah. So if you look at my hair, you can see that it's not like, I have it there but not over here.
Right.
And then in the back it's kind of off to one side.
Right.
So like the asymmetric hair loss is sometimes contributed to Hashimoto's disease.
Interesting. Will the hair come back, or is it just kind of gone?
Well, I think it's just gone. So when I read about that, I was like, "Ooh, maybe treating this will grow my hair back." They're like, "No, it's gone."
Nope, you're just a bald fuck now.
You're just a bald fuck with a bad thyroid. Yay. Any sex appeal that you had is just gone.
It's gone.
Well, it's all the way down.
Yeah, me and Allison were talking the other day about how, because we were watching Fear Factor, and Joe Rogan was on there when he had hair.
Yeah.
And Allison was like, "Oh, well, he looks better without the hair." I was like, "Yeah, he does look better like bald. Like some people look better bald."
Yeah, I think I can pull the bald look off okay, but I think my beard has a lot to do with that.
Right.
And also I don't have like a misshapen head. Like I think I have like a nice symmetrical head.
Right.
You ever seen bald people that are just kind of real lumpy up here? Look like a garlic knot.
That's what I was telling Allison. I was like, really, there's only two things you can do as a guy, like if you go bald. You either have to grow some type of facial hair, or you have to be in really good shape. There is no in between.
Yeah.
You can't be a fat guy with a bald head
and no facial hair.
It can't be
like
done.
A big baby.
You're gonna look like a big wiener.
Yeah.
You're gonna look very phallic. All right?
Yeah. Yeah. At least I can grow a beard. That's my only saving grace. But they were saying that that people with Hashimoto's will struggle with either weight gain or weight loss. And I have no problem putting weight on. I can do that quite easily.
Right.
And I don't really have an issue with losing weight either. Like if I try to lose weight, I can't.
Yeah.
I've done it, a couple times. My issue is sticking with it.
Right.
Like
it's a discipline issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every 2 or 3 years, I'll lose 40 pounds and then like just get it right back.
Like, well, that was fun, I guess.
Yeah, back to the old grind. We were down to Taco Bell. But yeah, it was kind of interesting that she just dropped that information.
Yeah.
She was just like, "Oh, your Hashimoto's disease," and I was like, "This is the first time."
Excuse me.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Right. It's like anytime you tell somebody they have a disease, you should probably follow that up with like, but it's not like,
yeah,
But
what if she would have been like, "And your AIDS"? I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, initially, I have some questions for Mary.
I remember you said AIDS. I remember like being in like 5th grade, I think, is like when they first did like the sex ed deal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it was like elementary school, getting ready to go into middle school. And I remember it was like a whole thing, like your parents had like sign this form and like they taught you about like the P and the B, right? And then I remember like they were like, so this is how it works.
It's all very mechanical.
Yeah, it's very mechanical.
Yeah.
And then they were like, but besides that, here's all these pictures of disease-riddled penises. And I remember that was so horrific when I saw it as a kid. I was just like, I'm never having sex.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
It is scary.
Right.
It really is scary because I remember when they taught us about AIDS, I think it was 5th grade we learned about AIDS and like what it does to people. And like I don't think AIDS is as big a problem as it is now. Like they have medication for it now where it doesn't eliminate it from your body, but it can bring those like whatever it is numbers down so low.
Yeah, it lowers your immune.
That it's undetectable and non-transferable.
So like the common cold will kill you.
Yeah. So I mean like the idea of AIDS was so fucking scary to me. And I was like, well, I will do whatever it takes to not get AIDS. Like there was a while there after they told us about it, they're like, you can get it from like sharing a needle or it's commonly transferred through sex. And I was just like, well, I'm never having sex.
Right.
I was like, there was a while where I was like, I'm just never doing it. Then I was like, it is not worth the risk.
Right. Until you like go through puberty and your brain just like, fuck it.
It's like, I don't care. Stick your dick in a beehive. Something has to happen down here.
Yeah, I just remember being in 5th grade and like looking around like and being like,
who's got it?
Yeah.
Which one of you has it? It could be any of us.
Like diseases like that are so wild because like you think you could get rid of it. Like you could probably get rid of like all STDs. Like if it was just like people of like this age who have never had sex before are not allowed to have sex with anybody that has had sex. Like all the virgins have to have sex with these people.
Yeah.
from now on.
But how would you?
So you have
how
to,
would you
you
even
have to separate the two.
How would you even do that logistically?
Yeah, you couldn't. But
you couldn't do that.
But you could probably get rid of all of it.
Yeah,
right?
you could. I mean, you absolutely could. It is possible.
Right.
It's just the people who have STDs.
It's probable.
Yeah, the people who have STDs can't have sex anymore. Sorry, but you can't.
Right.
And it's like you also, we're gonna have to make sure you aren't sharing needles with people.
Right.
And
Well, yeah. There's also that.
Eventually,
too.
we'll get rid of this thing.
Right.
But a lot of the STDs are also common in animals. Like they carry the disease,
Right.
and they can transfer it to humans, but they aren't affected by the disease.
Right.
Like, what is it? There's something that carries gonorrhea.
Really?
Is it an armadillo?
No, armadillos carry leprosy.
Okay, that's what it is. There's something that carries gonorrhea, and they can transfer it to humans. It's like if you just interact with it, you don't have to like pick it up and fuck it.
Right.
You just like touched it or whatever,
Right.
and then now you have gonorrhea.
Wasn't it like cats can get AIDS? There's like feline AIDS.
Yeah, there's feline AIDS. So there's like a whole AIDS for cats.
Right.
But AIDS is crazy because it's not the AIDS that kill you. It's just it basically just strips down all the defenses that your body
Right.
has. So like somebody sneezes on you and you have AIDS, you melt like the Wicked Witch.
You have to be like Bubble Boy.
Yeah. And especially as a kid, it was so scary because you're a kid, you're sick all the fucking time. You're constantly getting colds and
Right.
and
Yeah, you'd be
flus.
fucked.
Yeah, you would absolutely. There's nothing you can do for
No.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of that's scary too because like people that have STDs and stuff, like I don't know if it's this way anymore, is that if you have a kid, like if you give like birth vaginally, like you can pass all that on to your kid.
Yeah.
As they're coming down the chute.
Yeah. Well, also I think too. I mean, even if you have like a cesarean, wouldn't it transfer to the kid?
I don't know because is the STD like is it just locally like in the vaginal canal or would it be in the uterus?
I think some.
I'm not a doctor, so I don't know.
Neither am I, but I think that some of them are like herpes, maybe.
Yeah.
Like herpes, like you had, there's really only two ways that you can transfer herpes to another person.
Right.
Either you stuck your mouth on the herpes, or there's some variation thereof. But I think like if somebody has herpes, like I would say a woman has herpes and she's pregnant, I think that if they do a cesarean, they can bypass the kid. Doesn't have to I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying that's how I think.
It makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me in my
Right.
non-doctor brain.
Yeah. Well, isn't it like chicken pox or like a form of herpes? It's like in the same family. It's like just an open sore.
Kind of like shingles.
Yeah.
You had shingles once, didn't you?
Oh boy, that was fucking.
You had like on your armpit or something, didn't you?
I had it on my chest. Like I had like this big patch on my chest.
Yeah. What was that like?
It fucking hurt. It was like an open nerve.
Ooh.
Like anything that touched it, like it was just like this searing hot pain. And then I had like a patch of it on my back when I was 14.
So you got it from playing football, didn't you? Like
No.
just sweating in your pads or something?
I didn't play football that year.
Oh.
I just got it.
Oh, wow. That's scary.
Right. The doctor was like, "Oh yeah, it's like caused by stress."
Great.
I was like, "Great."
I stressed myself into like open wounds.
Yeah. And it's like, well, if that was the case, I should have had this a long time ago because I'm stressed all the time.
What did it happen when you had to have your physical? You were so stressed out.
It might have been.
The lady's like checking your nuts.
Like-
You're just like opening up.
So like the fucking lizard guy off of Spider-Man, just these like scales, like.
So isn't staph infection kind of the same thing?
I don't know. I'd imagine probably.
I think that it is. So did I ever tell you that? So Lex and Lola have real bad ear problems.
Yes.
So Lex and Lola, I mean, like every other month they get some bad ear infection. The most recent one that they've gotten there is pretty rough because the bacteria in their ears built up an immunity to the medicine that we were using to treat it. So Lex had to go get his ears treated with this like stuff that only the vet can do at the vet, and it's $50 a week.
Oh.
But I think it was only like 4 treatments.
No.
And then I guess Lola had something different because they gave us some take-home stuff for her. But I think when Lex was about 2, we were trying to figure out anything we could do to try and prevent him from getting ear infections because you don't want him to hurt all the time.
Right.
And I had read that, they have so much hair down in their ears that if debris gets in there, it can cause irritation and if they get any water down there, right. And the way their ear canals are shaped, it's like it goes in like this and then straight down.
Right.
So if anything gets in there, aside from holding the dog upside down, it's not ever going to come back out.
Right.
So I was like, oh, well, what I'll do is I'll just make sure his ears are clean by taking these wet wipes and just cleaning out his ear canal.
No.
And like every day for like 2 weeks, I stuck a wet wipe in his ear and I cleaned out all the gunk.
No.
And his ear just looked clean. But then they got really infected.
No.
Like super red, inflamed. And I was like, fuck, like that did nothing. And we took him to the vet and they're like, oh my God, he's got staph infection in his ears. And I was like, how did that happen? I was like, I've been cleaning his ears out with wet wipes. And they're like, that's why. They're like, all you did was stick a bunch of moisture down in his ears. They're like, hey, you got the gunk out, but you created like this perfect breeding ground for that infection in his ears.
Fuck.
And I felt so low.
Yeah.
Because as far as I knew, I was helping him.
Right.
I didn't know I was giving him staph infection. Here you go, buddy. That'll make it all better. Yeah, it's not fun. It and the only way that you really, unless with them we go and we look for it.
Right.
Every now and then we check their ears, how your ears looking. But like with dogs, they can't come and tell you like, hey, something's up.
Right.
You just kind of have to watch them.
Right.
Like with Molly, the only way we knew that she had an ear infection
Flapping her ears
is because she would shake her head and smack her ear on the coffee table.
She got that big ass fucking.
She got that hematoma in her ear. Like, I remember because we were sitting there at dinner one night, and Molly came walking into the dining room, and Allison looks over and she goes, "Oh my God, what's wrong with Molly's ear?" And we looked over at her.
Ballooned up.
And, yeah, her ear was like looked like it had like a tennis ball inside of it.
Yeah.
We were like, "What the fuck is that?" But she had bashed her ears so many times on that coffee table, she busted all the blood vessels open in it and just swelled up with blood. And then the same thing happened to her other ear.
No.
And so
she'd smack that one on the coffee table.
So they had to stick these tubes in her ears to drain them out, and then she just had like these crinkly, like ruffles ears.
Poor Molly.
Yeah. She ended up getting she had a tumor behind her eye.
No.
Yeah. She was 14, 15 years
She's
old.
old. She's like 15.
She passed away.
Yeah.
And she was like a medium-sized dog, too, so she wasn't like a little
She wasn't
dog.
very big.
I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I feel like she was about Lola's size.
No, she's a little bit bigger than our dog.
Well, I haven't seen Ruthie in a while.
She's probably about that tall.
Ruthie is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Molly wasn't so like. She wasn't like big. She had like a lot of fur.
Yeah. Yeah. She had that double coat or whatever it was. Yeah. And I remember her fur would just like come off and there would just be like these tumbleweeds all throughout the house. God, and when she got older, she started stinking.
Yeah.
Just like she was decomposing. That's what's happening to Trixie. Mom and Dad for everybody that doesn't know, Mom and Dad have a little schnauzer.
It's like a teacup schnauzer.
Teeny tiny little thing. And if you went and you looked at it right now, you would be like, what is that?
It's like this matted. It looks like a rat.
It does look like a rat. But she's so old and she can't see and she can't hear. All she can do is smell.
Right.
And like, she's at that point now where it's like we just want her to be comfortable.
Right.
So we're not going to do anything to her that she doesn't want to do. But she's got to be 15, pushing 16.
I think she'd be 16 this year.
That's insane. Dogs
Little dogs like that live for a long time.
Yeah. And they have a hard fall. It's a hard drop off.
Right.
For every dog is like that. It's a hard drop off.
Right.
Like they'll be going along just fine and then all of a sudden just oh no, everything. Yeah, because remember Molly's teeth were falling out.
Right.
And I think that's why that was the whole reason why Dad took her to the vet anyway, was because we knew that she was having problems with abscessed teeth.
Right.
And we noticed that her left eye was kind of swollen.
Right.
And we were thinking, okay, maybe she's got an abscessed tooth. And then Dad took her to the vet, and they did an X-ray. And they're like, oh, no, she's got like a softball-sized tumor in her head, pushing her eyeball out. And she might not wake up from this anesthesia.
Right.
And we're like, well, didn't know that we were going to say goodbye today.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, dogs like that is hard. Because, like you said, it's like they just kind of fall off a cliff.
Yeah. Just fast.
Yep. Just like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Trixie's been
chugging
along.
She's still falling. Trixie's like body is falling apart, but like her spirit is still like she acts like a puppy still.
Right. Well, I feel like Trixie's been old for years now.
Yeah.
Trixie hasn't necessarily fallen off a cliff. It's been a slow decline, but
she's been old for longer than she hasn't. Let's go ahead and bring in the podcast, and then we'll jump into our Super Cringe Thursday pick for this week. So, hello everybody, and welcome to the 57th episode of the Thicc Bois podcast. Thank you for joining us.
And shout out to Gary for getting out the podcast on time this week. Yeah,
so I did the upload on the most previous one, and I'm sorry if you guys didn't notice that it went up Tuesday because I didn't make a Facebook post about it. It was like Thursday came along, and somebody was like, they're like, when's the new episode going to release? I was like, it went up Tuesday. And they were like, oh, you didn't post about it. And I was like, fuck. So sorry about that. We're going to get this right.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, so our Super Cringe Thursday pick for this week. I have a question for you.
Yes.
So this kid, who's up here giving this presentation about My Little Pony.
Unfortunately.
The way that he's speaking and just his voice and his cadence and just the way that he says his sentences. Why are all those kids like that? They all speak the same way. Have you noticed that? It's like the gay voice.
Yes.
They all had the same voice.
Right.
Why is that? What is that about?
Maybe it's just like mass psychosis.
Is it is it like a physiognomy type of thing going on here?
Maybe it's just like, what is it they say? People don't have ideas, ideas have people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, maybe that's just the idea coming forth.
Well, it's like I remember being in school and like the weird kids all sounded and spoke like this guy.
Yeah.
Exactly like this guy.
Maybe it's got something to do with like their brain.
It's got to
like
be.
The way
it has
their brain
to be.
functions.
It's.
There's like a lot of this hand gesture.
Yeah.
And then hands down side, and then this.
Yeah.
Like it's just like arm straight down, hand gesture.
Yeah.
Arm
I've
straight
seen
down,
that.
double hand gesture.
I've seen that so many times.
Right.
It's like it's not a coincidence.
No.
Like there's something.
It couldn't possibly be.
There's something quantifiable going on here, like something that you can put down on paper. So for anybody who didn't see it, our Super Cringe Thursday pick for this week is this young man, probably 10th, 11th grade.
Yes.
He's giving a presentation to class, to his class. All these presentation ones never go very good.
They're all
if somebody's presentation's being filmed, it's not going to be good.
It's all bad.
He's giving this presentation, and he starts out with, what do you consider to be manly? He was like, some might think Arnold Schwarzenegger and his muscles, or Sylvester Stallone and his chiseled jaw.
Yeah.
Or what was the one he said? Marlon Brando or something like that?
Yeah, something.
He goes, I think manly is My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. And he's got like a PowerPoint slide going behind him. So he kind of delves into like the whole reason that show even became a thing, and like Lauren Faust, I think, is the creator and all this other stuff. But I didn't even really hear everything he had to say, because I was just blown away that he either had the balls or the lack of social aptitude to get up there and give that presentation in the first place.
Right. I think it's the latter.
I think it's the latter.
I think it's the latter.
Yeah. I hope that whatever delusion caused him to do that follows him his entire life, because I don't ever want him to like come awake and then look back on that and be like, oh my God, my legacy. I just hope that he continues to enjoy his TV show, and that's all that ever happens.
And it's not so much, and I don't really know anything about this subgenre of these people who like this sort of stuff. Because I wasn't aware of this until, what was this, like 2012, 2013?
Something like that, yeah.
When this started kind of becoming a thing, like this like subculture of
the bronies.
Yeah, young men that enjoy watching the My Little Pony.
Yeah.
It's got to be sexual. It has to be.
Look.
It has to be. There's no other explanation. It has to be.
There's a huge part of it that is very sexual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you spend a lot of time on the internet around that
group of people,
well, just in any kind of space where there was a lot of people, where there was enough people to take to do group surveys,
right? A sample size, if you will.
The bronies infected everywhere. They were everywhere. No matter where you were, there was bronies there, and they were loud and they were obnoxious. And they made every space that they were in unbearable.
Right.
For about 3 to 4 years.
Sort of like furries.
Yeah, but way worse than furries ever were. Like, as much as I despise furries, the bronies were far worse. It's kind of like orcs and urkai. So, being that, a lot of my online interactions were unfortunately with these people, I came to realize that a good portion of that was sexual.
Yes.
There was a ton of pornography of My Little Pony characters.
Well, I just understand that people that are socially inept like that, they're not having normal interactions with other people, that it kind of leads down this path of this weird sexualization of whatever it is that they're sort of like enamored with.
Yeah. Also, too,
it could have been fucking Care Bears.
It could have been anything.
It could have been anything.
If it was a My Little Pony, it would have been something else.
Right.
The thing is, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I've seen it happen enough times that, these...
You can pick out there's a pattern here.
Yeah. So when you're coming of age and, regardless of how socially inept you are, you still have a body that functions like a body. And if you're a young man, you're just you want to fuck everything. And no matter what it is.
Right. Your hormones are running wild.
And if your peers have boxed you out and do not want to fuck you and do not want to have you fuck them,
right.
You still have all that sexual frustration.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. It has to be directed at something.
Right.
And unfortunately, for a large group of young men in 2011, 2012, it was My Little Pony. And they knew how shameful that was.
Yeah.
They know. So instead of accepting the fact that it was shameful and hiding it like they should have, they tried to normalize it.
Right.
Which you see that happen a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
You're seeing that happen a lot with pedophiles right now.
I can't. I thought for certain that would never become a thing, but it has.
I don't want to equate being a brony to being a pedophile. But
I would imagine there's some crossover there.
Right. Think about the people who are pedophiles. Look at these people that get convicted.
Well, if they are a pedophile, what spaces would they hang out in?
Exactly.
Right.
You look at these people that, get convicted on like child molestation charges and things like that. They're usually like these social outcasts.
Right. They're not hanging out down at LA Fitness shooting hoops.
No. So it's the same thing. They've been boxed out by their peers. They're like these social outliers. They still have that sexual frustration.
Right.
And it's far easier, I guess, to victimize a young child than it is somebody who is, your age, likely better physically fit than you are. So, I don't know. Maybe it's unfair to say that this kid who is
a pedophile.
Is a pedophile. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that you can draw a lot of similarities here.
Right, correct. Well, anytime that I see somebody that has this weird sexualization of a child's like a children's character, immediately I'm like, that's pedophilic behavior.
It's too close to being a child.
Right, correct.
Because this is a children's cartoon.
Right.
and children are watching this. So it's like transitive property here, right?
Right.
So like you're looking at the same pony this little kid is, but you want to fuck the pony.
Right, exactly.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and you can say what you want to about, and I'm not, like, there might be, like, some, like severely, like, autistic people that are, like, that watch
genuinely do enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But for the mass majority of the people that act like this, I'm going to say that they are not that way.
It's just sexual deviancy.
It's just sexual deviancy.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go out on that limb.
There's there's a Twitter account called Reddit Lies. And they go through Reddit and they grab some of like just the most deplorable like things that people will say.
Oh yeah.
And they'll post it on Twitter. Now it's a very, very, very right-leaning account.
Yeah.
It just so happens to be.
Right.
And a lot of the things that they will post, are it seems to be young men, I say young men like teenagers, maybe early 20s, around that area, who are complaining about the fact that women will not have sex with them. And are complaining about the fact that, women are having sex with other men. And it's never, there's never any instance
of self-reflection
of where they look at themselves and say, what are my problems? Where are my shortcomings? Where am I failing?
Right.
It's always, these women owe me sex and they're not giving it to me.
Right.
And that is a very, very dangerous way to think.
Right.
Because that leads to rape.
Right.
And
Correct.
kidnapping and pedophilia.
Right.
There was a lot of people who were banging around this idea that these teenagers who are struggling to have sex with their peers, because teenagers are going to fuck each other.
Right. There's nothing you can do.
That's just what's going to happen.
Nothing you can do.
Yeah, if you were a teenager, you either did it or saw it happen. You know that that's what happens. They were banging around this idea that maybe the government should take these kids who are struggling to find sexual gratification with their peers and appoint them a hooker. Like a sex worker.
No.
Like a social
this
worker.
This is like a Reddit idea.
Just to make like a house call. Like, hey, I'm here for your monthly tug and suck. Like,
what the fuck?
Government appointed hooker.
Yeah.
And people genuinely thought this was a good idea. Now,
it's like not every idea needs to be out in the open here.
No, it doesn't. But part of me does understand the thinking behind it because, there you do have to have that sexual frustration will build, and it will eventually manifest in something bad. If it's never released in a natural way.
Right.
It's like with any other emotion, right?
Right.
Like if you are angry all the time and you're just angry, and you're just constantly building that anger, it eventually will manifest into something bad.
Right.
Usually violence against someone else.
Right.
Same thing if you're sad all the time. If you're sad, and it's just compounding and you're sad.
Mostly it's violence against yourself.
Yeah, mostly it's violence against yourself. It usually will manifest in violence in some way. Sexual violence, violence against others, or violence against yourself. It's just, violence is the underlying thing here. So I kind of get the idea of these kids need a sexual release. But I don't think that hiring hookers...
a government-appointed hooker.
A government-appointed hooker to come and fuck these teenagers is going to fix the problem.
No.
Because I think what happens then is what you would create by doing that is a generation of people who now know, not just believe, but now know that they are owed sexual gratification.
Right, correct.
By the government now.
That someone else's body is
owed to you.
Is owed to you.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it is not. I don't care how badly you want to fuck someone or anything. It doesn't matter.
Nope, doesn't matter.
You had to put in the legwork to make yourself to be fuckable.
Exactly.
It comes down to you.
I mean, unfortunately, there are some cases where people have fucking physical like abnormalities.
And you're not going to get...
You're just not... It's not going to happen for you.
It's not going to happen.
Like, because evolution dictates that the traits that you have shouldn't be passed on.
That's the big one. That is the big one, right?
No.
It's nature.
Right.
It's if nature is nothing if not unfair. There is no equality in nature. There is no equity in nature.
Nope.
Nature is the survival of the fittest.
Well, it's sort of like the sun tomorrow could blow up.
Yeah.
And there's
It doesn't matter how you feel about that.
The sun doesn't give a fuck what you think or what you feel.
Yeah. So, I mean,
there could be a gamma ray that comes speeding, hurtling towards the earth and wipes out
everything all
at once.
You never even knew that it happened.
Yep. And your dick problems will no longer
it won't matter.
Won't matter.
You know, it's hard to say what the solution is to this.
Right. Well, it's a human problem, which means
it's a human problem. It's, can you even say that it's a problem? It's just a fact.
Right.
That being said, I don't think that you should rub it in anyone's face because you're going to breed resentment.
Right.
If somebody is struggling to have sex with their peers, all you should do is try to encourage them to find that in a natural way. And, and who knows? It might be another ugly person. The two ugly people get together and be like, hey, we're not getting fucked. Let's fuck each other.
Right.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Well, also, too, it's like, and I'm not saying that it was better back when, but there's like a weird, relationship that a lot of people have with sex now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's like a lot of like this hookup culture and everything where, especially like you said, like with being a teenager, like that's as a teenage guy, that's all you can fucking think about.
All the time. And when we say all the time, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep.
You're like, fuck this again.
Yeah. Even when you're asleep and you're dreaming about fucking.
Right.
Because naturally, that's your biology. It's like, hey, we just got the ability to do this.
Right.
Let's go and do this. It's all we're concerned with.
Right. Your body's like, you need to procreate. You need to make sure that the species continues.
Yeah. That's your job.
That is your job.
Yeah.
Your biology is telling you that is your job.
You have to defeat the other males around you, and you have to impregnate the women.
Right.
But then you have this society that's like, you got to calm the fuck down and do math.
Right. Because that's the way we actually progress.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just fighting your nature all the time.
Right.
I mean,
And speaking, if there are any young men that listen to this, as you get older, it goes away.
It does. It absolutely does.
It goes away. It's not always going to be like this.
That not to say that you aren't going to be like, if somebody was like, hey, do you want us to have sex? You're going to be like, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, right.
You're like, you're going to still be like, yeah. Okay, yeah.
But there's bandwidth for other stuff in your life.
Bandwidth is a good word for that. Absolutely. Yeah, you're way more concerned with other things.
Right.
The reality of the world sets in, and you're like, oh, shit, I've got to focus on all this other crap.
Right.
I can't be worried about who I'm going to boink.
Right.
I think that a big part of it is when you are a teenager, especially in high school, there is a lot of responsibility dumped on you sociologically.
Right.
All at once. Right? Like you have to be, you have to perform well in school. You have to, try and make friends. You have to try and find a mate.
Right.
I mean, society isn't demanding that you do that, but not outwardly.
Right.
Your peers are, because everybody's pairing off, right?
Right. Correct.
And
you have to find your friend group.
Yeah.
And your friend, like from the time that you're a child, your friend group is going to change.
Yes.
Like, of course, like you'll probably end up you have friends that will probably be your friends for the entirety of your life, right? But your friend group does change as you get older, and especially in high school, like where people start getting different interests, then your friend group will fracture or your friend group will change in some way.
Yeah.
It's like, and you have to find your way in this hierarchy of like, where do I sit?
Where do I fit in?
Where do I fit in? Right? Like, where am I? Like, how do I navigate these waters?
It's like, think back to when you were in high school and all the friends you had. Like, I mean, if you did have a lot of friends, some people didn't have very many friends.
Right.
But if you're one of those people who didn't have a lot of friends, you're probably still friends with those few people that you did, right? Because you can't build a close relationship with every single person.
Right.
You know, if I think back in high school, no matter where I was, you know, what group I was hanging out with or what class I was in, I had at least 5 or 6 friends.
Right.
This little, like, clique that, you know, I'd be friends with these people, then I'd be friends with these people.
Right.
And then as we all got older, you know, I didn't hang out with these people as much. It's a
Right.
very natural thing that happens. Like, I have, you know, probably 3 friends from high school that I'm still very close with.
Right.
I never had, like, a falling out with anyone.
Right.
You know, if you know, I were to hang out with one of my friends that, you know, I haven't seen like in 4 years, you know, we'd be amicable to each other and enjoy each other's company. But the point is, you are going to find a very small group of people that you are very invested in.
Right. Correct.
But when you're a teenager and you're in high school, all that's so important.
Yes.
It's so important. It's not really, but you think it is.
Right. Well, that's what you have.
Yeah.
That's what is going on for you at that moment.
Yeah. I don't miss it, man.
Nope, not at all.
Not even for
what a fucking shit show
second.
that was.
Yeah. Awful.
Although I will say, I would rather go through high school 100 times again than have to go through middle school.
Oh yeah,
one fucking time.
Yeah, for sure.
One fucking time. You want to talk about a shit show?
Oh man, middle school was awful. Middle school was so bad.
And especially too because that's like when you first start getting like body odor, and you keep forgetting to put the deodorant on in the morning when you leave. Because I remember like I'd be sitting in class and I would like go to raise my hand to answer a question. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot to put fucking deodorant on today.
You're like, I smell so fucking
I smell
horrid.
so fucking bad. So I would like get up and go to the bathroom and like wash my pits with the fucking soap in the hand dispenser.
Like pink soap.
To like get it to go away. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do this 3 or 4 more times today. So.
Yeah, I don't miss that at all. At all. And that's also when your biology is starting to uptick, right?
Right.
And some kids mature a lot faster than others for you know the nicest way I can put it. And some of those are going to be your female peers.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're going to feel kind of weird about them.
Right.
And you're going to be like, there's something going on here. And only I'm feeling it because you're not feeling it towards me, but I'm definitely feeling it towards you.
Because the innocence of your childhood is slowly, the veil is slowly being lifted. Yeah. Right? You've peeked behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah. You're like, oh, there's a whole other thing back here.
Right.
Yeah. That's it. And that's such a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah.
It is. And you just kind of have to do it yourself.
Right. Because like, even like if you were to go to somebody that's older than you, like not like another teenager because they're going to bullshit you, right? Yeah. Like if you went to like a 30-year-old and was like, I don't really know what to do. Like I'm having like, it's awful. Yeah. I hate it. Yeah. And they'd be like, yeah, it's going to suck.
That's just how that is.
It's going to suck. Yep. Yeah. Guess what? It sucks for everybody. Yeah. And don't let them tell you any different.
It sucks for a long, long time.
Right.
It will suck for a long time. Right. And for some of you, it'll suck forever. That's why I think that it's important to find a hobby.
Yes.
Right? An outlet.
Right. It's important to find a hobby and an outlet because it gives you somewhere to point all of your energy. Yeah. Not only that, but it also will give you like-minded people for you to be around.
Exactly. That's another big thing too. It'll help you socialize.
Right.
That's why I think it was such a good thing for mom and dad to have us like involved in extracurricular things.
Always something.
I went through several iterations of extracurricular things before I found something that I even could slightly enjoy, and that happened to be marching band. And I really loved marching band. I loved the camaraderie of the whole thing, and working together as a team, and putting on a good show.
You also enjoy music, so.
Yeah. But even outside of that, once you get outside of high school or college or whatever, you have to find something to direct your energy towards, and don't let it be talking to people on the internet.
It never ends well.
That never ends well. Because you might end up talking to a glowy.
To a fed.
To a fed. Yeah, and then they give you a gun and send you to a courthouse. Everybody's listening like, God damn it, I thought we were going to get through this episode without any anti-government bullshit.
Yeah, just the more I think, like, the longer I'm alive, the more I'm like, maybe the internet isn't such a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, not that the internet is like inherently bad, but like the way that we interact with the internet, for the most part, is inherently bad.
It is.
It just brings out like all the psychotic people.
Well, I think what the internet does is, you know, it's kind of like the ultimate litmus test of whether or not you have any integrity. Right? Because you're not necessarily being policed unless you're in like the UK where you can get like arrested for saying something mean.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. But at least over here in the States, like the most that can happen to you is that you get deplatformed or
Right.
But even then it's like, okay, well you agreed that you wouldn't do this and then now here's your
Right.
you know, here's your discipline.
Yeah, here's your band hammer.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are people who are able to get on the internet and interact in a responsible way.
Right.
There are far more people who cannot do that.
Yeah, speaking of like the internet and social media platforms, I guess like a lot of people are pissed at Elon with Twitter right now, because like they were like, oh, I thought it was gonna be like free speech and all this shit, and then he was like, you don't understand like the work that's going on behind the scenes to like try to pull all the threads.
Yeah.
As far as like them trying to figure out like all the different like functions that this algorithm is calling.
Yeah.
And like for anybody, and you've done a little bit of programming when you were in college.
Like a very small amount.
Right.
I made a robot draw a circle.
Right. Okay. However, like anybody that has ever programmed anything knows that good luck going into code that's already been coded and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
What it does.
Yeah, right, because nobody comments their fucking code.
Or why it works.
Or the only thing they'll do is they'll put a comment that says, do not touch.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you delete that function, it just stops working.
Yep.
And it makes no fucking sense as to why it does what it does. So I can't even begin to imagine
what Twitter is like.
Going into the source code for Twitter.
Yeah.
And like fucking around in there.
Just changing some shit up.
Yeah. Like, we're going to push this to production now.
There's a, I forget which video game it was, but there was one video game that like a company inherited from another like developer.
No.
And they were trying to do like a remaster or a remake or something. And there was like a file in like the engine or whatever that made this thing work, and the file was just named penis. And if you deleted it, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And they couldn't open it and look at it, so nobody knew what it was or what it did, or they just knew there was a file called penis, and if you got rid of the penis file, it didn't work anymore. So you have coders who are probably doing that kind of shit on purpose.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, it just, as far as like, because when you design a platform or when you really design anything, like as a developer, you have an idea in mind of like how this platform or this application should be used.
Yeah.
As like, oh, you can use this functionality to do this, but that does not mean that the end user is going to use it in that manner.
No. They're going to do things with it that you never even would have thought were possible.
Right.
They'll use it to like backdoor things.
Oh yeah.
Get into like government servers, and then you're in trouble for that. You're like, I didn't know it could do that. Yeah, I wouldn't want anything to do with that, especially with Twitter.
No.
Twitter's super hot right now.
Yeah.
And people don't like change.
No.
People do not like change. If you go and you change anything, it's the worst thing that's ever fucking happened, and it happened because they're racism.
Right. I can't even begin to imagine. Like I would have opened up the first file and be like, nope, and just walked out.
I quit.
Yep. Yeah, it's cause being somebody who was I was horrified of computers.
Yeah.
I was like, if I touch this thing, it's going to break.
Well, when we were kids, that's absolutely how computers worked.
Right.
You could fuck those things up right away.
Yeah. It's like working with like a Linux operating system. Like, oh, you want to delete system 32? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. If that's what you want to do. Like that's how Windows used to be.
Yeah.
Windows now is very like idiot proof.
You gotta go way out of your way to fuck up it.
Right.
Fuck it up now.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was not like
You have to
back then.
really try.
Yeah.
You have to really, really try.
Do you remember like what the blue screen was like when we were kids?
Yeah.
The blue screen of death?
Right. Horrified me.
It was a scary thing that like there was like all this like code and like error codes and messages and things that would pop up. Now it's just like the blue is not as harsh.
Right. And there's just a sad face.
It's just a sad face. Like fucking Fisher Price computers.
Well, it's funny because the other day I was downstairs and I was doing our taxes, and Allison restarted the other computer that we have, and this computer's fucking old. It's like one of those all-in-ones, like an HP all-in-one.
Oh yeah.
And we bought it in like 2014.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing that this thing still fucking runs.
Right, yeah.
Like nobody ever uses it, but so she restarts it, and then it starts giving the motherboard like the beeps, like its beep is giving beep errors.
Yeah.
And she's like freaking out. She's like, I broke the computer.
Yeah.
And I was like, just hold on just a second.
Yeah.
I was like, let's look online and see what that indicates.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, like the screen isn't rebooting.
Yeah.
But I remember like before going through like the A+ and all that shit, like that would have horrified me too.
Yeah.
Because especially like as a kid, like those computers were really fucking expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, they were super expensive.
Right.
It was a big deal.
I didn't want to be the one that fucking broke it. So I'd be like, oh, that's very nice. And be like, I'm not touching it though.
Yeah. You remember when Mom and Dad thought everything was a virus?
Well, I mean, we didn't have LimeWire on the computer.
Well,
so.
yeah. But a lot of stuff back then really, truly was a virus.
Right.
The one that got blamed a lot for the computer being slow was RuneScape. I remember when Mom got Magic Jack and it fucked up the internet so bad. Like it just sucked all the bandwidth. Everything, every bit of it went to Magic Jack. And so she tried to open up like Microsoft Explorer.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's not working. It's that damn RuneScape.
Like, have you looked to see what processes are running in the background?
Don't talk back to me. You know, the big thing now is I think there's a lot to be said about knowing how to Google things.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
that's mostly what my job is.
Well, yeah, I do it all the time.
Right.
You can literally Google the exact issue that you're having.
Yeah. It's on a forum somewhere.
And somewhere it'll pop up.
Right.
Now, if you Google something and there's no results,
then you got a problem.
You got a problem. You are the problem.
Right. Well, you know, I specifically remember when I was going through my degree, and I use Stack Overflow like all the time.
What is that?
So Stack Overflow is like people will go in there and they'll post problems. Like they have like different threads for like different like programming languages. So it might be like PHP,
like Python,
yeah. Or like C++ or something like that.
Yeah.
And somebody else, they'll like give their code and they'll be like, I want it to do this, but it's throwing an error. I don't know what it is that I'm doing. And all of the responses are either, this has already been posted. Why are you fucking posting this again? Like you need to search better.
Yeah.
Or you're so fucking stupid. Here's the answer. So I never posted anything on Stack Overflow.
How many times was it somebody didn't have a semicolon?
That's mostly what it is. Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that because there was plenty of time. Like, I would rage at the computer.
Yeah.
I'd be like, like, you can bleep this out. You'd be like, you stupid motherfucker. You dumbass bitch. And it's be like, why the fuck are you not working? And, like, just for, like, 30 minutes, like, just dog cussing the computer. And then being like, oh, I didn't put a semicolon there.
I didn't close this bracket. And the computer can't talk back to you and tell you exactly what's going on. Like, you didn't put a bracket here, you fucking idiot.
I mean, I'll fucking do that now. Like, with the platform that I work with now, I'd be like, why is this fucking validation rule not working the way I want it to fucking work?
You're like, oh, I'm the problem.
Oh, yeah. It's like, and it's, for my immediate response is always, this doesn't work the way it's supposed to fucking work, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's always me. I'm the problem.
It's like when I got mad at my GPS at one time. And I was like, this fucking thing is a fucking piece of shit. And there's like they had to launch a satellite into orbit with a rocket, and like all these people, like, they have to account for like the fact that time runs faster down here than it does up there. And like I'm like a fucking nobody who's like, this is garbage. Does it work? It's worked more times than it hasn't.
Yeah, my rage knows no bounds when it comes to technology.
Things not working the way that they're supposed to. So before we run out of time, we do have a correction to read.
Oh, we do?
We do. This comes from Avery, so shout out to Avery. So a couple episodes ago, I said that we were trying to figure out who the lead singer of Evanescence was.
Oh, yeah.
And I said that Amy Lee was from Flyleaf. Amy Lee is not from Flyleaf. Amy Lee is from Evanescence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's...
Who's from Flyleaf?
I don't know. I've got the World Wide Web right at my fingertips.
Is her name like Donna or something?
Lacey Sturm.
Oh, I was way off.
But here's the soundbite.
We're sorry.
There you go. So sorry about that.
Yeah, well, you know.
Flyleaf is that right that Flyleaf is a Christian band? Have I heard that before?
You know, there are so many different bands that like kind of claim that. Like, I didn't realize how many like metalcore bands claim to be like Christian bands.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on with that?
Like, you if you didn't tell me that you were a Christian man, I would have never pieced that together.
No.
And so I just Googled it. So Flyleaf genre: rock, heavy metal, Christian rock, alternative rock, hard rock, new metal, alternative metal, post-grunge.
Post-grunge?
Yeah.
I feel like post-grunge is more like Creed, Stone Temple Pilots, and like Puddle of Mud, right?
Yeah, I would say. Flyleaf definitely doesn't fit into that.
Yeah.
If anything, if you're talking about like a Flyleaf song like "Sick,"
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that girl has some fucking pipes.
Yeah, she's got some fucking vocal cords.
She's
on
an
her.
incredible fucking singer. I wouldn't lump them in with post grunge. No. I would say, God, they're not even new metal.
They're like this weird in between in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, alternative rock is where I would put them. Yeah. Skillet is another one. Don't they claim to be a Christian band as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I know that...
Now, they're post-grunge.
Would you say that they're post-grunge?
I would say that they're post-grunge, yeah.
I always felt they were more like
3 Days Grace.
Ugh. Like, when I think of post-grunge, I think Puddle of Mud. That's like my initial... Like, I don't know.
Everything's open.
Right.
And he's singing through his nose the whole time, yeah.
Although I do like that song.
I do like that song, but he's very nasally.
Right, he's very nasally. Like, I always think post-grunge for me is always like, I don't know, is that more like a butt rock type deal?
But it's a bit butt rock.
It is a bit butt rock.
Yeah.
Post-grunge is sort of butt rock.
Yeah.
Like, because when I think butt rock, like I think like chunky rings.
Yeah.
And like rhinestone like blue jeans.
Yeah, like an independent hat.
Right.
Yeah. Like the little douchey beard.
Right. You know, some dude that's like a swinger with his wife.
Yeah.
They're like in their mid 40s and they go to like concerts.
Yeah. Oh God, there was another one that I wanted to Crush 40. Crush 40 is the band that does the music for the Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Oh, ew.
So can't hold on much longer.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that one from
Yeah,
Sonic
yeah.
Adventure? That is quintessential butt rock.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Every bit of that
Right.
is
Yeah.
butt rock.
Yeah, so like with butt rock and post grunge, there's like always like this.
Yeah.
I guess they were like trying to follow like the Nirvana type deal. No, that was more Pearl Jam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Eddie Vedder's to blame for
Yeah,
that.
Eddie Vedder, most definitely. Like that's definitely like a Pearl Jam deal.
What's that song? Red. Is it Yellow Ledbetter?
Yeah, where he goes.
No, that's Even Flow.
Yeah.
No, Yellow Ledbetter is the one where he's like on the ceiling on the front porch, let us say. Like what?
Like what the fuck is he
What
saying?
are you saying, man?
Well, that's what it took me the longest time to figure out what the fuck he was saying in Even Flow.
Yeah, the only part that's even barely legible is Even Flow.
Right. Where he goes, he says,
Comes
rest.
alive like muddy flare.
Where he says, rest his head on a pillow made of concrete.
Rest your head on a pillow made of concrete. Yeah. Oh, hey now, maybe he'll see a little better say today. What?
Can you imagine being like the other band members?
It's just like, what is he saying?
The fuck is he talking about?
I wonder how many times it legitimately was gibberish.
Oh, it had to have been.
It's like it has to be said, the people who post the lyrics online are just like, here's what I think he's saying.
Right. Well, I mean, you would think that especially because that was a big drug scene, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Right.
It was mostly drugs.
So you could imagine, like, he's like slurring, he's like, like when he's up there, like on stage.
They're like, are you singing in reverse?
Yeah. And he's like, his eyes are rolled back in his head. He's fucking just got done. He's still got the fucking belt wrapped around his arm.
Speaking of drugged up singers, did you see where Ozzy is in pretty bad health?
I feel like he's been in bad health for a long time.
Yeah. Well, he apparently, from what I understand, he had some kind of accident a while back, and he fractured his spine,
Really?
or something like that. And he was supposed to go on tour, and people had been holding on to the tickets for like 2+ years now.
Mm-hmm.
And on his social media accounts last week, he ended up posting something that was like, I've been doing all this physical therapy, taking all this medication. Apparently he's had like, I might have this wrong, but I think he said cybernetic help or something like that. I don't know what that means.
No.
I don't know if that really happened and that's just what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
But he was like, he was like, I can't perform for you guys. He's like, so everybody that's been holding tickets is going to get a refund.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see people's reactions to that. Mm-hmm. Because everybody was very much supportive of Ozzy.
Right.
And they're like, we totally get it. You've been doing this for 60+ years now.
Ozzy has built up a lot of
good faith.
Yeah, right.
With his fans, definitely. So, I mean, like, you take some of these younger artists, Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber, whoever it might happen to be. Sorry if that's a little early 2000s, but if they canceled a show, you know how much hate they get?
Oh, yeah.
You see it all the time. They fucking call for their death.
Right.
Like they owe you a show.
Right.
Like, we're going to give you a refund. Like, I want my show.
Right. Well, I think it's a different crowd. It's a different group of
It's
people that go
definitely
to
a
see
different
these shows. Like, you're not going to get...
Yeah.
Like, there might be some crossover, but it's probably minimal.
Very minimal.
Like, the sort of person that would go see, like, an Ozzy Osbourne, like, concert.
Yeah.
Well, especially now, like, the group is much older. Like, there are new fans, of course. Like, people are constantly discovering Black Sabbath and Ozzy and all that stuff. But for the most part, I would say that his most loyal fans, they're older too. So they sort of understand.
And they're loyal to him.
Right, and they're loyal to Ozzy.
Yeah.
And, Ozzy's a strange instance as well, because Ozzy is the reverse opposite of Eddie Vedder, where you
Yeah.
can't understand a fucking thing Ozzy is saying until he sings.
Yeah, and then he's perfectly articulate.
Right.
It's like he released that song Under the Graveyard like 2 years ago or something like that. And it's like I was like, I've never heard this Ozzy song before. And like, oh, it released this year. And I'm like, now I know I've heard him speak this year.
Right.
And I didn't understand what he was saying. So
Right.
how is it that he can get on a mic and sing and be perfectly understandable?
Right. Well, it's like I said, I think that there's different groups of people that enjoy different types of music, and I think like the older crowd that enjoys that type of music is a much different crowd than say like the early 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset.
I think part of it too, might be that if you wanted to like hear an artist's music, you kind of had to put in a lot of footwork in order to be able to do that.
Right.
Like if you wanted to go to a concert, like you had to go somewhere to buy the tickets, or you had to like get them mailed to you or something like that. With the advent of the internet, everything's very detached.
Right.
Like you have this artist on demand in your pocket all the time. So I think it kind of takes away a lot of the like reverence there.
Right.
Because like you think about like the way that people felt about bands in the 60s.
Right.
And in the 70s is very different than the way they feel about people now. And there's not really so much bands anymore as there are artists.
Artists, right.
Where it's just you had these like corporate fat cats who picked out somebody fuckable and wrote a stupid song for them, and they get them up there to prance around on stage and sing it.
Right. Well, I think also too, like I said, the crowds are older, right? So the people they're actually going there because they support the artist. They're not looking for an experience.
Yeah.
Right. They're going there to hear this music because there's some nostalgia attached to this.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of like somebody that's going to go to like Coachella or something and take a bunch of mushrooms.
Not even remember it.
Yeah, and then fuck somebody in the dirt. Like, like that. They're going there for the experience. They don't actually give a fuck about the music.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not all of them. I'm sure that some of them actually do enjoy the music, and that's why they go there.
Yeah, but a lot of them
it seems
are
to
there.
me like, especially like with Coachella, it seems to me like people are going there for the experience. They're going there because that's the trendy thing to do.
Is Coachella the EDM one? Or is that Lollapalooza?
I don't think Lollapalooza is that one either. I know there is an EDM like circuit or whatever.
Yeah.
I think Coachella is just like,
is it pop bands?
Beyonce and like
chain
Rihanna,
smokers.
chain smokers, and I think that's sort of like their deal or whatever.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Ozzy in concert.
Yeah, like when Ozfest was real big.
Yeah,
that'd have been fun to go to.
I would have loved to have seen Black Sabbath in concert.
Yes,
when they had Randy Rhoads playing guitar, because you'd like everybody in that band was like a legend.
Yes,
it was just a band comprised of legends.
Yes,
I mean that's how Van Halen was.
Yes,
everybody in Van Halen was just that way. You had fucking, was it Nikki Sixx and Motley Crue?
Motley Crue. You had Nikki Sixx and Slash.
And Slash. Yeah.
Fucking old Cheeseburger Bobby over there.
Well, Vince Neil. Oh, Vince Neil. God, he like poke evolved into Larry the Cable Guy.
That should be Super Cringe Thursday's video next week.
Oh, the terrible like performance. Yeah. Have we not posted that one?
If not, we're gonna bring it back. That's next week's. I love that video so much.
Me too. Oh goodness, it's such a good one. Well, I think that's about all we got time for today, everybody. So once again, thank you so much for always tuning in and listening. We've really been enjoying all the outreach and support from everybody. We are very, very close to 3,500 downloads.
Yay!
Which I think is interesting because I feel like I just recently posted our 3,000 download milestone.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
So it's interesting that we've come.
There's a pickup.
Yeah, we've hit.
There's a pickup.
We've hit 3,500 that fast. So thank you to everybody who has been listening and has been supporting and everything. If we said anything that we were wrong about or anything that offended you, make sure you reach out to us and you let us know. You can contact us on the Facebook page, or you can email us at thickboypodcast@gmail.com. We're also at Twitter, so you can follow us over there. We still have some stickers left over if you guys want stickers, so make sure you let us know that, and we can get those to you. Do you have anything you want to close with?
Nope. Just as always, thank you for the continued support. Don't forget to like and I guess would follow or subscribe or however it is that it works on the platform that you use to listen to us.
That way, if I forget to make a post on Facebook, you know that the episode went up.
Right. The app will notify you that we're on there. I think we're on all platforms, so that includes Spotify and Apple and Google Podcast, and I think some of the smaller ones like I think we might be on Audible too. I think
there's one called Pod Monster.
Yeah, Pod Monster and Deezer and
Stitcher.
Stitcher. All of them. We're on all of them.
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't get away from us. All right, everybody. That's the podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.